Jackson Radio Show.
You know, I was here just a few months ago. I spoke at the West Virginia Chamber of Commerce. Senator Manchin was there. I looked him in the eye, and I told him, I said, Joe, the people of the Mountain State are counting on you. And I said, let's get this tax cut done together. But Joe voted no. Joe voted no to give working families more of your hard-earned money. Joe voted no on tax cuts for job creators and on expanding the child tax credit, giving you your first $24,000 in income tax-free, real breaks for families in West Virginia. Joe voted no. But it's not just the tax cut. Senator Joe Manchin has voted no time and again on the policies that West Virginia needs. When the time came to repeal and replace the disaster of Obamacare, Joe voted no. When we empowered West Virginia to defund Planned Parenthood, Joe voted no. And when it comes to that wall that we're gonna build on the southern border, Joe said, quote, well, I'm not voting for the wall either. Folks, Joe's just going to keep voting against West Virginia. Now, that might make Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi pretty happy. But West Virginia needs to let him know you expect better from Joe.
I love that clip, and I also love that Vice President Pence is back out there on the trail, building up his own gravitas, learning from the master, Donald Trump, and you're watching this evolution of the Republicans that, quite frankly, the Democrats have no, what do they call it, Bush League. They have nobody coming up. No, I forget what they call it, but you know what I'm saying. They don't have anybody in the lineup that's ready to go coming up from AAA ball to get into the majors. Listening to Kevin Jackson, folks, KJRadio.com, 844-551-8255 if you want to call the show. They don't have that group that's coming up. They've got nothing. Everybody's got the same ideas, the same incestuous thoughts and crazy policy positions that have gotten us in trouble and that Donald Trump is extricating us from and that these guys don't even know how to behave with. So good for them. But the reason why I play that is to show you how big a trouble the Democrats are in. Manchin wants to now appear to be Republican. He's pulling a rhino John McCain in order to make people believe that he has seen the light. And there's Vice President Pence going, no, don't believe it. West Virginia, he lied to you. He does not support us. He's now a Johnny-come-lately. Why? Because now he sees our policies work. We need somebody that's an early adopter that sees it from the beginning. Somebody that's got that fire in their belly that says, I understand what you need. You shouldn't have to convince somebody of the conservative way. You either are or you aren't. This is why I always talk about these people that have made this, foxhole conversion into conservatism. I used to be a Democrat, but then they made me mad and I switched over. Really? What did it take? Your lack of history? Your lack of observation? What? I'm not mad at people for doing it, but don't try to. People canonize these folks. A good example, Sheriff Clark. I like Sheriff Clark. I mean, I've been at a couple of events with him. He doesn't speak to me. It isn't, and I don't think it's anything intentional. He's just kind of, quite frankly, a bit egotistical, in my opinion. He wants to be around those that can elevate him. Well, good for him. But he's a former Democrat, and I've never been one. I don't have to make any apologies for, this is what made me finally come to the conclusion. I've been staunchly conservative since I had my first thought that I can recall. I'm talking about, 7, 8 years old, where I became, came of age, so to speak, knew who I was, and I've never, ever considered going to that side of the aisle. Not once. I'm not getting mad at people for it, but I'm just saying that's the facts. You're watching these people slowly come over. Some are coming over, and I'm glad we get the Sheriff Clarks of the world. One of my guys, Christopher Harris, he grew up Democrat. Daddy was Democrat, whatever. Saw the light, boom, made the conversion. Now he is a holy roller for conservatism. Good for him. But the reason why I play this is I played that clip and talk about Manchin and others is I want you to understand people are seeing this. It's no longer a guess on do conservative policies work. They use all these things, voodoo economics with Reagan, trickle-down economics, Reaganomics. They give it all these names, these scary tactics to scare people off. And Reagan, being a governor and understanding politics, he played the game a little bit, and we canonized him, rightfully so, because he was able to deliver a message that put them on kilter, off kilter. But we have somebody that's greater than Reagan, not in terms of his speaking ability about it, but in terms of his actions. And I'm watching this guy convert people, transform people. And how's he doing that? He transforms people because what Donald Trump does is say, I'm going to prove it to you by putting it in your pocket. I'm going to prove it to you by getting you that job. I'm going to prove it to you by getting you that lower cost in fuel, that lower cost in food, or whatever it may be. And he proves it. And now that it's being proven, you got the Johnny-come-latelys, the mansions. He wants to come over and say, woo, look at me. Let me tell you what's happening right now. Donald Trump made the comment the other day, we played that clip, where he talked about, I don't care if you shut the government down, I'm going to get Daca. And he says, and you know what? I'm going to get everything I want, and if it means shutting down the government, so be it. He goes, I can't speak for my representative friends here, but I suspect they believe. Dude, let's just play that clip.
Good evening. I'm Shannon Bremen for Bret Baier tonight. We begin with a new warning from President Trump. He says he's perfectly willing to let the government shut down again if his border security plans are not accepted. Chief White House correspondent John Roberts starts us off tonight. Good evening, John.
Shannon, good evening to you. With the clock ticking down to the March 5th deadline to get something done on the Dreamers and the government set to run out of money again on Thursday evening, the president appeared to roll those two things together into a threat that seemed to take everyone in Washington by surprise. Chairing a meeting on strategy to confront the notorious Hispanic gang MS-13, President Trump threw a bomb into talks on a budget deal, saying if he can't get an agreement on immigration reform, he's happy to have another government shutdown.
I would shut it down over this issue. If we don't straighten out our border, we don't have a country. Without borders, we don't have a country. So would I shut it down over this issue? Yes. I can't speak for our great representatives here, but I have a feeling they may agree with me.
See, that's the part I really like where Donald Trump says, I have a feeling they may agree with me. Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here, KJRadio.com. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. Donald Trump is telling you, look, I'm a leader. This is what I'm going to do. Now, they're free to do what they want. I suspect they're going to agree with me. Now, why does he say that? He says it very simply, because he's got the Democrats on the ropes. The Democrats, like Manchin, are now saying, you know what? I better jump on board. The Republicans have done it. Do I really need to go back through these State of the Union stats where 97% of Republicans said they love the speech? 43% of Democrats say they love the speech. 72% of independents say they love the speech. The so-called direction of the country flipped within a month. In terms of, I think it was saying 41% said it was going in the wrong direction, 41% in the right direction, 53 in the wrong. A month later, 53 say it's in the right direction, 41 in the wrong, and that's skewed statistics. And because, like I said before, you can't have State of the Union speech like what Donald Trump had, where 97% of Republicans, 43% of Democrats, and 72% of independents like what he's doing, like the speech. The speech was the direction he was going. So disregard those other polls. They're nonsense. What you're witnessing is a full pendulum swing, folks, back in the other direction. Why? Because you have somebody who says, I'm not settling for what you've been telling me is right when I know it's wrong. I'm not settling for it on Daca. I'm not settling for it on building my wall. I'm not settling for it on this anemic economy that I inherited. I'm not settling for it on protection of American citizens over illegals. I'm not settling for it in protection of American citizens over Muslims. You can give me all the political correct nonsense you want. It isn't going to fly. And that's what Trump did that has the left moving over in droves. Now look, what do the hardcore elitists say? I'm died into progressivism. When we come back, I'm going to talk about Joe Biden and what he's having to say. But you listen to this hardcore so-called progressive and watch how he's having to meld over into other things. You want to know why? Into Donald Trump's way of thinking. And the reason is Donald Trump takes enough of what they want to do good in their programs, and he does exactly what the left would do. He steals it and says, now it's ours. Because here's the real deal, folks. It's always been ours. We're the people who are looking for the righteous thing to do. We can understand when an injustice has been done. And to these kids that have come over with their parents, illegal or otherwise, that are 2, 3, 4 years old, they didn't have a choice. Trump understands that. That's the compassion George Bush tried to get to and never could attain.
Kevin Jackson
on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.